Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Mutant Mondays. So, new comic books still aren't coming out unfortunately, but that'll be changing this upcoming Wednesday when finally Marauders 10 will be on the shelves, and I could not be more excited. So I figured now is the perfect time to wrap up our loose ends by doing a video on the rest of the Sinister Secrets. So if you have not seen the previous episode, I definitely encourage you to. It covers all of the Sinister Secrets that we've seen in House of X and Powers of 10. And essentially what these are, it is a gossip column written by Mr. Sinister himself, and overall it gives us some juicy details on life in Krakoa. Now ever since Dawn of X has been coming out, the Sinister Secrets have only really emerged in one title, and that is Marauders. So let's get cracking on the Sinister Secrets that first appeared in Marauders #1. So let's start out with Sinister Secret 11. Whispers on the wind that a certain mutant undergoing a new phase of their life is sitting on quite an offer. It won't last, but I wonder if they'd be surprised to know that they were not the first nor second choice. Perhaps third time's the charm. So this one is clearly talking about Kate Pryde, who, spoilers for Marauders, if you hadn't had guessed we're going to be heavily talking about that, becomes the Red Queen of the Hellfire Club. And we first discover that in Marauders #1 when Emma reaches out to her. Now we know she's not the first choice because Kate even kind of calls out Emma and says Aurora said no, huh? Meaning that Storm was at least the second choice, if not the first choice for this position. So perhaps this second or first choice, I assume Storm was probably the first choice, is important because maybe Emma didn't make it. Maybe it's alluding to Shinobi Shaw's return and how Shaw really wanted him to be the Red King. And if you weren't already clued in on the fact that Kate was the mutant in reference here, they even drop in a subtle line about a phase, which, you know, she phases. Now, it won't last is an interesting thing to me because I'm not sure if it's just that he doesn't think she can handle the role or if he knows a little bit more about where the plotline of Marauders is going than he wants to let on. Sinister Secret 12. Humanity's health and well-being have never been a popular topic around Bar Sinister, but now the Krakoan medicines are keeping us afloat, we probably ought to pay attention to the changing tides at Hellfire Bay. We are one of the seas to be carefully navigated is deep and red. This could refer to Kate and her crew making waves as they rescue mutants across the world, but it also could allude to the eventual mutiny that Shaw would commit in presumably murdering Kate by sea. So we later see him aboard her ship, or vice versa, I can't remember, the ships are battling, and he confronts Kate and captures Lockheed in a net before dropping Lockheed into the ocean, to be followed by a captured Kate shortly after. Now, in the very next issue, we would see Bishop discovering her body in the water, and from there, we've been left on quite the cliffhanger as to what will be Kate's fate. So whether or not it's just her making waves with all of her mutant saving, or a direct reference to her death, I think this one is pretty well debunked. Sinister Secret 13. Speaking of black and white, not everyone got their invite. Quite a faux pas. We hope there's not a fight. So really with this one, I feel like what it's going to come down to in the end is the original Hellfire Club members, or maybe not the originals, but notable ones, because not everyone has reappeared in Krakoa. Characters like Mastermind and Celine are nowhere to be found. Now, on the surface level, this Sinister Secret could just mean Shaw and Shinobi Shaw not having the power rank of Red King for him and being angry, but really I think it has to do with making us wonder where are the other mutant members of the Hellfire Club and why haven't we seen them pop up in Krakoa yet? Personally, I'm rooting for seeing characters like Mastermind and Celine appear because I think they're very, very interesting, and I would like to see them a little bit more. Also, a Lady Mastermind did appear in Nightcrawler Giant Size #1, so we can look forward to her being in Krakoa now. Sinister Secret number 14. Now this one is pretty straightforward, especially if you've made it through to the most current issue, and a lot of these Sinister Secrets in Marauders are like that, very short-sighted, very answerable within the pages of Marauders. This one is, humans wearing sheets always leads to trouble. Who are these kooky new looky-loos crowding our gates? So first of all, I think the use of kocky here is to allude to things like the cake. You know why. And that directly references issues 5 and 6 of Marauders, where Kate is taking on characters like Executioner and Hatemonger hired by Hominis Verendi. Really, that whole Sinister secret is debunked by that itself. Maybe we'll see Strikers, Purifiers at some point, but so far it's just those two. Sinister Secret 15. We hear the slow boat is built to catch all the eyes, but the one under the radar is the one that's turning heads. So this one is referring to the microship that Yellow Jacket, hired by Hominis Verendi, takes to essentially magic school bus his way into Pyro. And it remains this way for a couple of issues where he's spying on the Marauders, but Pyro's a little bit insane, so it doesn't seem like he gets very much information before Emma finds out and gives him quite a cinematic journey before ripping him out of Pyro. So this one's pretty much solved, as we've seen it ourselves unfold on the pages of Marauders. So the rest of these are going to come out of the pages of Marauders number 8. Sinister Secret 16 to me is pretty much a surface level shade from Sinister. You can definitely read more into it, but I'll read it for you and see what you think. Shade for 1. I respect the power move, but come on. If I can make a meeting, anyone can. Come on, Kate. So this one to me is referencing the meeting she doesn't attend because she's kind of busy drowning. And to me, this kind of lets on that maybe Sinister doesn't know as much as he thinks he does, because if he knew she was dead, I feel like he wouldn't need to shade her. So I think this is just letting us in on the fact that this was kind of a very secret thing, and he might not know quite as much as we had assumed based on some of the other Sinister secrets, because it seems like he just thinks she's late. Sinister Secret 17 is really interesting to me. Waitlisted by Jumbo, a few of my thirsty patrons quenching thirsts have been quizzical about a certain quirky Q that can't quite catch his quarry. We hear he's blaming his wardrobe. It does make the man. Perhaps it's time for a fabulous cape. Earlier in the last video, we talked about who Jumbo Carnation is, and I think this quirky Q can pretty much be solved to be Quentin Quire. Something also cool to note here is kind of a mild callback to the relationship between Quentin Quire and Jumbo Carnation, because Quentin was one of the ones to first hop on the bandwagon in New X-Men after the death of Jumbo Carnation to call for a vengeance or some type of movement in his honor. Now, as far as who he may be fancying, we see him hit on lots and lots and lots of women over the time he is in X-Men, anyone from Teen Jean to X-23, you name it. So I have two main theories on who this is going to be, and I'm not a huge Quentin knowledge base, so forgive me if there's a more obvious choice that I'm not seeing. I think it could be Gwenpool, who we see go through the Krakoan gate at the end of her miniseries, and she's reunited with Quentin, and she definitely is excited to see him, but we can't tell if he's excited to see her. So maybe he's gonna pursue her again, but I really don't think it would be hard to do some convincing based on how they left that story. Now, the other one that I think could be really interesting is the Stepford Cuckoos. Now, he's had a relationship with a couple of them in the past, but in Cable number 1, it's alluded to that they are kind of preoccupied with Cable at the moment. So maybe he's trying to woo them away from Cable. I have a feeling this one will probably unravel in a different book and not Marauders, something like X-Force or Cable that has these characters in it. Sinister Secret 18. Make more mutants, they said. Now, to be honest, who did you have crossing the finish line first? Probably a pretty redhead or a blonde. Well, nobody got this one right. Congrats to the former wild child Stinger. Good luck with that baby bump. If the kid turns out interesting, bring him to Krakoa. So again, this one is pretty straightforward as there is a character named Stinger, and congratulations to Stinger. I'm intrigued to see how this one goes. Hopefully, if they end up going to Krakoa, it goes a little bit smoother than it did for Angel and Beak. And as far as he's alluding to blonde and redhead, I think knowing Sinister and his weird Summers obsession, it's safe to assume he was betting on Emma or Jean. Sinister Secret 19. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the grossest mutants of them all? No, not the Marlocks, don't punch down muties. Well, it's not for me to say, but keep your eyes on a swivel, you may spot them when you think you're seeing double. Now, this one is answered within the same issue, and it ends up being Fenris. And Fenris is like a kind of odd version of the Wonder Twins, except they give off really, really, really Lannister vibes, if you get what I'm putting down. So I can see why he doesn't like them. and we see them pop up talking to Hominus Verendi in the end of issue 8, and they are also the children of Von Strucker. So this raises some eyebrows and definitely turns some heads, and I'm excited to see what they do with them, but I really hope it doesn't end up feeling like the Ultimates Maximovs. And then lastly, we have a sinister secret revealed, and that is, of course it's Fenris. Gross. You can't spell Von Strucker without the suck. If only we knew anyone on the Quiet Councils who suggest growing a new Krakoa and leaving them on it. So it answers itself also in the sinister reveal before you can even turn the page to see Fenris, and that concludes all the sinister secrets that we have so far. This one was a lot more concise than my last one. A lot of the sinister secrets in Marauders are directly answered in the book, or the couple that aren't, I feel like I can see where they're going. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully you were excited for Marauders 10 that comes out next week. Well, I guess technically this week, this Wednesday. So I know I am very excited. I want to know what happens to Kate, and I hope this hyped you up a little bit and that you enjoyed it. If you liked this video, please hit the like button and leave a comment telling me some random letters, some thoughts, maybe you have a different theory than one I discussed here. I definitely want to hear it. If you want to see more videos like this and would like to see more episodes of Mutant Monday, which will be coming soon, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon to get notifications every single time I post. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed some more scintillating sinister secrets. Until next time.